So this is a plant we have to be very careful taking in internally, because large amounts of this can cause liver damage. Small amounts, not so much. But large amounts, definitely, we have to be careful of this.
Are small amounts good for the liver?
Not necessarily, no. And it could also cause asthma reactions in some people too, so we have to be careful with this plant. I do tincture this plant, and if I feel like I'm just starting to come down with something, then I will take just one drop of the tincture, and I mean one drop, not a dropper, but just one tiny little drop, and it seems to really kick in the immune system to knock out that virus super quick. And that's just a one-time deal. So that's how I use the cedar internally. Normally, this is a plant that's used externally. It's antiviral, it's antibacterial, and it's antifungal. It has a lot of terpenes in it, a lot of essential oils, and we talked about how essential oils will cross the blood-brain barrier, so we have to be very careful with how much we use directly on the skin. So when we're using the plant itself, instead of just the essential oil, we have buffers in it that's going to help us to, not to have too much on our skin. So I'm a big fan of using the whole plant versus just, one component, one extract, like an essential oil directly on the skin. So what I do is I take the tips, and the tips really mean just, this little bits of the plant here. And I'm going to chop this up, and I'm going to add this to my formula. And so when we have a wound, we want to relieve the pain, we want to stop the bleeding, and we want to make sure that we don't get a bacterial infection, correct? We don't want it to get infected. So this is the antibacterial component of our formula. And we don't need very much of it at all. And this plant, cedar, this is something that grows in the woods, on the edges of the woods. We see it everywhere. You'd never see just one cedar tree in the wild. If you look, here's a cedar tree, there's a cedar tree, there's a cedar tree. There's lots of cedar trees that way. There's a cedar tree there. And they have mycorrhiza, which is funguses that live in their roots, and these mycorrhiza communicate with each other. And some of the things that they communicate is the health of one plant to the other plant. And there have been scientific studies done where they somehow are able to put some kind of electrodes on the plants, and if this tree got affected in some way by a bacteria, or it got damaged by fire or something, it communicates to the tree next to it, and it just keeps spreading out that communication. And those trees, their immune systems kick in, and they'll produce hormones and a variety of essential oils to help protect it. Wow. Isn't that amazing? So this is a plant of communication, and so that's why you see it. The natives tend to have it in their houses, and it promotes good communication. So holidays are going to be coming up in the next few months, and if you have the kind of family that maybe you could use a little bit of help with the communication, it happens. We can have this as part of our, on our table, as part of the decorations. We could make little swags to hang, in the windows or next to the door. And this just helps to promote really good communication between family members. And that actually really works. One of my apprentices, she said she brought a little bit of cedar with her into a meeting. She worked in the corporate world, and she said every month they would have this meeting. It would always end up in shouting matches. Nothing would ever get resolved. All these issues that they'd have would always get tabled to the next meeting. And she said the one time, she said it could have been a coincidence, but you're never going to believe this. I said, I bet I do. And she said, I just brought a little cedar. I put it into my attaché case. I didn't even take it out. And we resolved some issues. It was amazing. And nobody yelled at anybody that meeting. I said, well, this is a plant that really does its job very well. So, could it have been a coincidence? Maybe. I don't believe in coincidences. So, we'll see. So, my advice to you, have this in your house to promote good communication between family members, roommates, kids, people that enter your house. And then you get a reputation for being the house that's a sanctuary where people get along, and it has a good feel about it, and it's peaceful, and people want to be there, and that's a good place to be, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.